Okay, well, let's start talking about next steps then. What we'd like to do is to go away with here with some ideas about what happens next. And some people have already paid for their lunch by adding those on. But I'm wondering if there's some specific things. Maybe just have people start throwing out ideas about next steps. Adam, go ahead.
We heard from our American brothers and sisters about putting an idea of what LiDAR is available online. I know working with Reed, he's been wonderful in terms of providing maps like he showed there, which can tell us about New Brunswick, and also in terms of sharing the data. You've been really wonderful. It's been helpful and has actually led us to develop more of those 3D visualizations that I showed with Clive, just because of the sharing of that LiDAR data. So I'm wondering, as a next step, that's New Brunswick doing the job well. Is there any other is there any advantage to doing what is being done in the United States of trying to bring the different provinces together, or at least the Atlantic provinces together into a common place where we can see what data is available free of charge, and perhaps share some of this stuff? Because we're capturing a lot of images through our drone that we're having issues with data storage. And I'm not looking to hold on to my data. I'm happy to share what we're doing, because it's all these, with the drone, it's all these small little 2 square kilometer pieces. And so it'd be kind of nice, I think it was somebody was talking about citizen science, a way of stitching it all together, or having a common place that we can put all of the data at some point, or have it some depository, and that we'd be able to search and then gain access.
So Compute Canada is looking for projects to put on its infrastructure, and I know there's a project going forward for out of nationally for fish tagging data kind of thing. So maybe we could look at some consortium along that line that would provide infrastructure to put that on. So Robert, you had your hand up.
Just to say that I'm interested in understanding what other people have, and I think that one of the things that we always come up against is we have limited resources for collecting data. We certainly have a limited budget, but I come here and I realize how much information is already out there. I'm only looking for some discrete sections right now, but I don't know the exact mechanism. I guess I do see some publicly available place that people can contribute a repository for these large volume data sets. Searchable, available.
Chris Hopkins, when he was at COGS, actually started an idea of having a LiDAR data repository in the region, but Chris went west, so I guess that idea hasn't really been, but it may be something we need to resurrect. Go ahead.
I would like to know from our American colleagues, what kind of resource do you need actually to have developed this United States Interagency Division inventory? Also, you have like 24 collaborators, but really, does it take a lot? Because I think we could take example of what you've done, and I don't know if even we could talk about collaboration between the American and Canada, and populate the Canadian aspect as well.
Do either of our American friends want to answer that question?
I don't really know about resources for the inventory. Do you have any idea?
Well, so
maintaining,
yeah, the maintenance
and maintaining, I guess.
The budget is so we've committed, and I can't give you a hard value dollar number on what we put toward that, but we had to work very hard to get congressional approval, essentially, to develop it, to maintain it, because we couldn't develop it for 1 year and just not maintain it. So it's a continuous investment. We host terabytes upon terabytes of raw LiDAR data. And we continuously update the code to process it and serve it out too. So that's something that our office has taken on, but it's also why we can't complete the entire country and host all of the data. So we do work with our partners, the USGS and others, to host those other data. But we are talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars annually to buy more storage capacity and to keep our developers on staff.
So, Jamie, I'm wondering if you're talking about the inventory, just the knowledge that something exists, as opposed to actually having it stored someplace. Because it didn't. Yeah. So, Jamie, didn't you say that one of the requirements for the inventory was that agencies had to put up a mapping service that you could then look at together? I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult to say, because I know people like Bernie Connors and Colin's not here anymore, but the provinces are already doing mapping services, so why not have a map that says where your LiDAR is or where your orthophotos are or things like that? It would be, and then it could be brought together in one place relatively easily, knowing where it is.
In New Brunswick, we have, you mentioned Bernie Connors, so
Yeah.
SNB has quite an extensive layer set on ArcGIS Online, and one of the layers is an imagery and LiDAR inventory. It'll tell you where it is and what the restrictions might be, if it's an open license or restricted license.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And some of that's EMO would have some data, DTI has some data, so it'll also tell you who you have to knock on the door and bug to get.
Yeah,
so.
and CHS has something similar, or at least you used to show where all your navigational charts are, but maybe not where your field sheets are, your LiDAR or things, but it's just a minor extension to do the other.
Yes, it's right now what we have, it's a portal that shows the products, but just show them. I mean, you're not able to get access to them without to pay.
People know that it
Yes,
exists, right?
exactly. Yeah. And for the data, it really at this moment you have to still call at the office.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Other people so clearly we've got identified a next step of, well, how do we emulate in some way the inventory of what we've already got? Other kinds of issues around next steps. Don.
Just a comment. The inventory is a great example, but I think also the existence of a national coastal mapping strategy, and we don't have one. CHS has one, GSC has one, but we don't have an integrated approach. And in the context of discussions earlier about how do we get LiDAR for all of Nova Scotia, I think we